Relationships are not accidents, they are assignments. They are not random encounters, they are divine connections that demand wisdom, responsibility, and intentionality. Too many people enter relationships with excitement but without understanding, with desire but without discipline, with feelings but without principles. And when the feelings fade, when the excitement dies, when the storms come, they wonder why everything is falling apart. But the truth is simple and uncomfortable. What you build without principles will collapse without warning. Love is not sustained by emotion, it is sustained by order. Attraction may start a relationship, but only principles can keep it alive. And the first principle is purpose before passion. Never build a relationship on loneliness, pressure, fear of being alone, or the need to be validated. When you don't know who you are, you will accept anyone who chooses you. When you don't know your purpose, you will turn a person into your purpose, and that is a burden no human being was created to carry. A relationship is not meant to complete you, it is meant to complement you. Two whole people build a healthy union. Two broken people build a battlefield. If you are empty, you will demand too much. If you are insecure, you will control too much. If you are wounded, you will bleed on someone who never cut you. Heal first, grow first, become first, then connect. And the second principle is values over vibes. Vibes change, feelings shift. Emotions fluctuate, but values anchor a relationship when everything else is shaking. You don't choose a life partner based on how they make you feel on a good day. You choose based on how they behave on a hard day. Watch how they handle stress. Watch how they treat people who can do nothing for them. Watch how they speak when they are angry. Watch how they keep their word when it costs them something. Love is not proven by poetry, gifts, or sweet talk. Love is proven by consistency, integrity, and character. Chemistry can light a fire, but only character can keep it burning. And the third principle is communication with courage and compassion. Silence destroys more relationships than shouting ever will. Passive aggression, emotional withdrawal, and unspoken expectations slowly poison connection. You cannot expect someone to read your mind. You cannot punish someone for not meeting a need you never expressed. Speak your truth, but speak it with love. Be honest, but be gentle. Be direct, but be respectful. Don't store complaints like emotional debt and then explode one day with 10 years of frustration. Deal with issues when they are small, before they become monsters. Communication is not about winning arguments. It is about protecting connection. And the fourth principle is boundaries with discipline. Love without boundaries is not love, it is chaos. If you don't define what is acceptable, you are teaching people how to disrespect you. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks. They tell people where they can enter and where they must stop. Protect your time, protect your energy, protect your emotional space. Don't tolerate behavior you wouldn't accept forever. What you allow at the beginning becomes the standard in the middle. Love does not mean tolerating abuse, dishonesty, or disloyalty. Love means choosing someone who honors your boundaries and guarding theirs as well. And the fifth principle is commitment over convenience. Real relationships require sacrifice. They require patience. They require work. Anyone can love you when it's easy. Anyone can stay when you're fun, successful, and happy. But love is revealed in seasons of pressure, loss, and disappointment. Commitment is saying, I'm still here when everything inside you wants to run. Commitment is choosing the relationship even when your emotions are tired. This does not mean staying in a toxic situation, but it does mean understanding that every healthy relationship goes through uncomfortable seasons. Growth is uncomfortable. Maturity is uncomfortable. But the reward of staying is deeper intimacy, stronger trust, and unbreakable bonds. And the sixth principle is accountability over ego. Pride destroys intimacy. When you are always right, the relationship is always wrong. Learn to apologize without excuses. Learn to take responsibility without blame shifting. Learn to listen without preparing your defense. A mature person is not one who never makes mistakes, but one who corrects them quickly. If you cannot be corrected, you cannot be connected. Love grows where humility lives. When two people are more committed to growth than to winning, the relationship becomes a safe place instead of a war zone. And the seventh principle is trust built through consistency. Trust is not created by words, it is created by patterns. Anyone can promise loyalty. Anyone can say, I love you. But trust is formed when actions match language over time. Keep your word. Show up when you say you will. Be where you said you would be. Do what you said you would do. Faithfulness in small things builds confidence in big things. Betrayal does not always start with cheating. It starts with dishonesty, secrecy, and broken promises. Protect trust like a treasure, because once it is broken, it is never the same again. And the eighth principle is growth together, not just attraction together. If your relationship is not making you better, it is making you smaller. You should be evolving, not just entertaining each other. You should be sharpening each other, not distracting each other. Support each other's dreams. Challenge each other's bad habits. Encourage each other's potential. A relationship is not a resting place for laziness. It is a training ground for greatness. When two people grow together, they don't outgrow each other. And the ninth principle is forgiveness with wisdom. Every relationship will experience mistakes, disappointments, and pain. If you expect perfection, you will always be disappointed. Forgiveness is not pretending nothing happened. Forgiveness is choosing healing over hatred. But forgiveness does not mean tolerating repeated harm. If someone keeps hurting you the same way and apologizing the same way, that is not a mistake. That is a pattern. Love requires grace, but wisdom requires boundaries. Forgive, but don't ignore red flags. Heal, but don't stay where your soul is being crushed. And the 10th principle is God or higher purpose at the center, not just romance. When two people build a relationship around pleasure, they will collapse when pain comes. When two people build a relationship around a higher purpose, they will endure storms together. A relationship is strongest when both individuals are accountable to something greater than their emotions. When you honor purpose, values, and divine order, your relationship becomes more than just two people in love. It becomes a force that can change generations. And relationships are not sustained by luck. They are sustained by laws. You don't get a great relationship by chance. You build it by choice. Every day, you are either planting seeds of peace or seeds of destruction. Every word you speak, every boundary you set, every decision you make is shaping the future of your connection. Stop looking for the perfect person and start becoming the right person. Stop chasing feelings and start honoring principles, because when principles lead, love will last. And understand deeply, the quality of your relationships will never rise above the quality of your self-respect. You cannot build something healthy while entertaining what is harmful. You cannot pray for peace while practicing chaos. You cannot ask God for a loyal partner while you keep entertaining disloyal behaviors in your life. Everything in your relationships responds to the standard you set, not the wishes you make. If you keep choosing from desperation, you will keep collecting disappointment. If you keep ignoring red flags because you are afraid to start over, you will stay trapped in cycles that drain your soul. Love does not grow where self-betrayal lives. The moment you start honoring yourself, your relationships are forced to either rise to your level or exit your life. And another principle that must be written into your spirit is emotional responsibility. Your partner is not your therapist, your parent, your savior, or your emotional dumping ground. They are your companion, not your crutch. Too many people enter relationships carrying unresolved trauma, untreated wounds, and unhealed pain, then blame their partner for not fixing what they never caused. You are responsible for your triggers. You are responsible for your reactions. You are responsible for your healing. When you refuse to do your inner work, you turn love into labor for the other person. You exhaust them with your insecurity. You suffocate them with your fear. You poison the connection with your projections. A mature relationship is two people taking responsibility for their inner world so they can show up whole in the outer world. And there's also the principle of patience in process. Real love is not rushed. It is revealed. Anything built too fast is usually built too weak. When you rush intimacy, you skip discovery. When you rush commitment, you skip discernment. When you rush connection, you ignore confirmation. Time is not your enemy, time is your filter. Time exposes character. Time reveals patterns. Time shows you who someone really is when the excitement wears off and the routine sets in. If someone pressures you to move faster than your peace allows, that is not romance, that is manipulation. What is meant for you will not require you to betray your boundaries to keep it. And another unbreakable principle is alignment over attraction. Attraction is powerful, but it is not wise. You can be deeply attracted to someone who is completely wrong for your destiny. You can feel chemistry with someone who will destroy your future. You can love someone who does not love your purpose. Shared direction matters more than shared feelings. Where are they going in life? How do they handle money? How do they treat family? What do they believe about faith, loyalty, growth, and responsibility? Do they have a vision for their life, or are they just drifting? Love without alignment becomes a tug of war. One person is always pulling the other forward, while the other is always pulling them backward. And eventually both become exhausted. And then there is the principle of emotional safety. A healthy relationship is not one where you never argue. It is one where you can disagree without fear. Can you speak honestly without being punished? Can you express pain without being mocked? Can you set boundaries without being threatened? Can you make mistakes without being humiliated? If you are constantly walking on eggshells, shrinking your voice, or hiding your feelings to keep the peace, that is not peace, that is fear wearing a mask. Love should be a refuge, not a battlefield. It should be a place where your nervous system can rest, not a place where it is always in survival mode. And another principle that destroys or builds relationships is gratitude over entitlement. When you feel entitled, you become ungrateful. When you become ungrateful, you become critical. When you become critical, you become toxic. Stop focusing only on what your partner is not doing and start honoring what they are doing. Stop measuring your relationship against social media fantasies. Stop expecting perfection from a human being. Gratitude softens hearts. Appreciation deepens connection. Recognition fuels effort. People thrive where they feel valued. They wither where they feel taken for granted. If you don't water your relationship with gratitude, it will dry up even if love is still present. And there is also the principle of privacy with wisdom. Not every argument needs an audience, not ever. Why problem needs a public opinion? Not every frustration needs to be posted, shared, or discussed with outsiders. When you constantly expose your relationship to external voices, you invite confusion into your connection. Too many relationships are destroyed not by the two people in it, but by the noise around them. Protect your union. Guard your intimacy. Handle your conflicts in the right place with the right people. Wisdom knows when to seek counsel and when to keep matters sacred. And another principle is adaptability over rigidity. People grow. Seasons change. Circumstances shift. The person you fall in love with at 20 will not be the same person at 30, and they should not be. If your love cannot evolve, it will suffocate. Learn to renegotiate roles. Learn to update expectations. Learn to adjust to new realities. What worked in one season may not work in the next. Love that refuses to adapt becomes controlling. Love that adapts becomes resilient. Flexibility is not weakness. It is strength that knows how to bend without breaking. And then comes the principle of service over selfishness. Real love is not always about what you can get. It is about what you can give. It is not about keeping score. It is about meeting needs. It is not about demanding your way. It is about sometimes choosing their way. When both people are trying to outserve each other, nobody feels neglected. But when both people are trying to be served, everybody feels cheated. Love is not 50-50-ish. It is 100 and 100ths. Two people fully committed, fully invested, fully present. And there is also the principle of spiritual and mental intimacy, not just physical intimacy. You can touch a body and still be disconnected from a soul. You can share a bed and still feel alone. Real intimacy is when two minds connect, when two spirits align, when two hearts feel seen and understood. Talk about dreams, talk about fears, talk about purpose, talk about pain. Build depth, not just desire. Lust can fade, but emotional and spiritual intimacy creates a bond that time cannot erase. And another principle is intentional romance over emotional laziness. Long-term love does not survive on autopilot. You don't stop dating just because you are in a relationship. You don't stop trying just because you feel secure. You don't stop being affectionate just because life gets busy. Neglect kills attraction faster than any outside person ever could. Keep pursuing each other. Keep surprising each other. Keep choosing each other. Love is not something you fall into once. It is something you must rise into every single day. And finally, there is the principle of faith in the process. Not every season of your relationship will feel magical. Some seasons will feel dry, some will feel heavy, some will feel confusing. But feelings are not the measure of reality. Growth often feels like discomfort. Maturity often feels like pressure. Depth often feels like work. If you quit every time it gets hard, you will never experience what it means to build something unbreakable. The strongest relationships are not the ones that never struggle, they are the ones that never stop choosing each other through the struggle. And so stop building relationships with childish expectations and start building them with mature principles. Stop asking, how does this make me feel right now? And start asking, what kind of future is this creating? Stop chasing butterflies and start cultivating roots, because butterflies fly away when seasons change, but roots hold you steady when storms come. And when you build on principles instead of impulses, you don't just fall in love, you rise into a legacy that transforms not just your life, but generations after you.